Hello, everyone, and welcome to the HP Podcast, episode number 307. I don't know what's going on, but I'm Ben, and Dave has a big old shit-eating grin on his face. Dave, what's going on over there?
Nothing. Just happy to see you guys.
You're just happy to be here?
Just having a great time.
Yeah.
I don't believe you, because Brandon's also smirking now.
That's fine.
I feel like there's a conspiracy here happening.
No, there's not a conspiracy, but there is something I wanted to talk about because I started down a rabbit hole today.
Uh-oh.
And I think it's a rabbit hole that a lot of people go down, especially on YouTube, and that is the world of card counting.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, dude, yeah.
So I'm not here to tell you guys that I've decided earlier this afternoon that I'm going to change my careers to be a card counter, but like,
And you usually don't want to announce that if you do.
yeah, this is crazy. Like the videos of these guys like going into casinos and they have like the hidden cams and like the whole thing is let's see how long I can play at this table before I'm kicked out. But they don't actually get kicked out. Like this pit boss or casino manager will come over to them and just be like, "Hey man, you can't play 21 anymore. You can do whatever you want, but you're too good at this game, so you're not allowed to play it anymore." Like what does that say about casinos and gambling?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, we know that, I mean, like everybody knows, it's just knowledge that casinos always have the upper hand, right? They're rigged to win more than they lose. If you were a casino and you go out of business because you lost too much money to gamblers, then you're not a very good casino owner because it's like rigged for you to win. But there are some games like blackjack where, you know, there's more skill involved. And there are other games like craps, where if you play certain things, you have like a 49.6% chance of winning. As close as you can get to being even odds without actually being even odds. But casinos still don't like it, even though they have the upper hand. Because, yeah, it's all about the money. I mean, they are a for-profit venture, so why not, I guess.
All on black, baby.
Always on black, Brandon?
All black.
You ever play craps, either of you guys?
No.
Craps is the one where you throw the dice. This is me saying it. No, I've never played it. But.
Right. Yeah, everybody's at the table and like everybody's like rooting for the other person. Yeah. Rooting for or against the other person, depending on how you bet.
Do you blow on the dice? Is that a part of it?
Somebody else has to blow on it for you. You
Yeah,
want
I
someone
don't-
to blow your dice, Brandon.
Oh, that's that Frank song. That's that Frank Sinatra song. I know that.
Yeah.
Luck be a lady. You know that little ditty.
I've heard of it.
Old blue
Doesn't have to be
eyes.
a lady. A man can blow your dice, whatever you want.
Hey, whatever. I don't know what. Yeah.
I'm not gonna say what it was, but I just saw what you guys were laughing about in the private chat. At least I think that's what you were doing. Welcome on in, everybody who's here. This is the HP Podcast. We talk about video games and gambling from time to time. That just to clarify, I usually don't break character, but we don't actually usually talk about gambling. I just want to make sure YouTube knows that so they don't kick us off the platform. But welcome to everybody who's in the chat. Radix starts off and says, "Do you think the Game Awards should team up with DraftKings so we could bet on the winners for the Game Awards?"
Absolutely.
I am getting so sick to my stomach with all this fucking sports betting constantly being shoved down my throat at every turn I take, whether I'm driving in my car or watching my favorite sports team, just browsing on my phone. I don't want to gamble on sports. I just don't.
What about video games?
Hit the parlay, dude.
That
Come on.
too.
Hit
No.
the parlay.
And they're just
Dude.
throwing free money at you, saying, "Here, free $10 bet." I have so many friends like, "Oh, I don't put my own money in. I'm just, I'm betting what they gave me." And I'm like, "That's how they get you."
Yeah.
Dude, that's what I did.
Yeah, Brandon actually made out pretty
I
well
won
on that.
big, baby, on the Olympics. Imagine this, boys. Imagine a parlay. One leg is the game of the year. One leg is best game direction. And the third leg is best RPG. Now, that's something I can get behind, Radic. I mean, truly, if I could hit a 3-leg with Jeff, I'm out.
This
I'm
is
there.
my one safe haven, and I know I brought up the subject, but I guess this is not my safe haven from gambling anymore. Apparently,
Do it. I'm a bad influence. Erratic says, "I see the vision." Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent. I am the devil on the other shoulder.
Yeah, I don't know how I would feel about it as far as Jeff taking money directly from them. But if DraftKings ran something that was adjacent and it like had no tie-in necessarily with the Game Awards, like they weren't like, hey, here in the commercial break, go and bet on your games you think are going to win. Because I think there's too much influence as far as like judges and stuff like that for it to really feel fair. But if there was just, a place, I bet there is somewhere where you can just go and get, like there were, Poly Market?
There has to be. Because you could bet on like, you could bet on like Counter-Strike and everything. Like,
bet on like the Grammys and stuff.
Yeah. There's got to be a place to do it.
Will there be another slap this year at the Oscars? Over under. Odds are incredibly imagine.
How many? What's the over under on Joseph Ferris F-bombs? 2.5. Take the over.
Dude, he's back. He's never quite acted up like he did the first year.
Yeah.
I think Jeff probably had a talk with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just got to maintain that clean presence for the advertisers to get on board.
It's been how many years? Will Bill Clinton kid show back up?
That was 2 years ago, and I have a feeling he will not. He may show up at the gate, but they're not letting him in.
They literally have his specific face. Every single employee of the Game Awards has a picture of that guy's face that said, "Do not let this motherfucker in."
Yeah. I'm going to make a prediction. I made this prediction to you guys before the show. And actually, this is probably easily... you could probably find out if this is even possible because I don't know what Post Malone's schedule's like right now. But I'm gonna say there's a small chance that Post Malone appears at the Game Awards because I saw that Hunt Showdown is doing something at the Game Awards. A new season involving Post Malone drops on Thursday, and it's possible. Maybe he just shows up in a song. Maybe he does a song. But I'm saying I think there's a small chance that he could show up on stage on Thursday.
Dude,
I think it's possible.
If this is true, 48% of people... I don't know that I could believe anything Radix says. 48% of people are betting that Astrobot is going to win Game of the Year.
There's 6 choices and 48% of them with one. That's a crazy high amount.
That doesn't sound right. Maybe he doesn't mean Game of the Year. Either way, that's kind of interesting. Should I drain the savings tonight, boys?
I don't know how much is in the savings, but I'm going to say no.
Comes out in 2 months, my friend. So just wait.
That's true. You guys want to talk about some video games?
Waiting for the tax return, boys.
I guess we have been. The tax return, put it all on Poly Market.
Put it all on black, dude.
First up, don't forget, you can join us over on patreon.com/handsomephantom if you want to support the show. Help us out a little bit over there. Help us pay some bills. We appreciate that. And if you want to hang out with us, chat about... Poot was typing in the Discord today that he's working on a stool. Putting together a stool.
After.
Hell yeah.
And I'm not 100% sure if he means like a device you sit on or something else. Maybe both at the same time. Probably, actually, everybody's kind of working on a stool at all times, right?
Yeah, unless you haven't eaten in a while.
If you're eating.
I guess. Yeah. But like, you poop, and then immediately your body starts like, you're already making new poop.
Doing the business.
You can talk about things like this with us on our Discord.
Wow.
handsomephantom.com/Discord. We appreciate it. Is this the imminent week for Derek to talk about the Switch?
For the past 8 weeks.
It's been longer than 8 weeks for sure.
Nintendo's announcing at the Game Awards.
I believed him for way too long. I figured he knew something, but
I think he thought he knew something, and then he just turned it into a
bit.
A bit, yeah. XDefiant is shutting down amongst all the times that they've said, no, we're fine. We're not shutting down. They're shutting down. Just over 6 months from its full release, XDefiant is now confirmed to be shutting down. Executive producer Mark Rubin confirmed the news on X, announcing servers will close on June 3rd, 2025. After weeks of speculation regarding player count, and ongoing support, XDefiant is officially on its way out. Support for Ubisoft's FPS is being tapered off in the coming months, with refunds being offered for any players who purchase premium bundles in the last 30 days. New downloads of the game will no longer be available, meaning only players with the game installed can continue grinding if they so choose. Season 3, wouldn't that be so rough?
You have no idea. Imagine you're just like grinding, just grinding so hard. You're like, I'm not buying Call of Duty. It's ass. And then you just get shit on. I hope they put
I was just thinking like if you like uninstalled it so that you could play Indiana Jones, and then once Indiana Jones is done, you're gonna hop back in and you're like, oh shit, it's gone. I can't do it anymore. Season 3 will still roll out as planned, though no new content is prepared for the period beyond that. Quote, we regret to inform you that we are initiating the sunset process starting today. Meanwhile, players who purchased the Ultimate Founders Pack, the most expensive cosmetic pack at launch, priced at $70 USD, will be issued a full refund. On top of that, any players who purchased digital currency or season passes in the last 30 days will be refunded. It's pretty crazy, guys. Not that nobody could see this coming, because the moment this game was announced that it was coming out, after being delayed for failing certification for months and months, immediately articles started coming out about its low player count, about how this game's going away soon. And Mark Rubin, of course, was coming out and saying, no, that's not true. And maybe it wasn't for a time, but now she gone. Brandon, did you ever, I know Dave, we'll get to Dave, but did you ever get around to playing this after it released?
Yeah, well, no, I think the last time I played it was when we played it, and I think that was pre-release.
That was pre-release, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess now's the best time. If I still have it downloaded, to check it out, just to see what it's like before it finally goes away. Honestly, the writing was kind of on the wall. We talked at the beginning of the year about how they had a really big opportunity prior to Call of Duty coming out to kind of hold and reel in some of that market. Not surprisingly, I'm assuming they took a large hit whenever Call of Duty came out. But what I think is most telling about this and most interesting from a how Call of Duty works perspective is that within the next 2 or 3 months, the honeymoon phase of this Call of Duty will be ending, at which point you have an incredible opportunity to then draw people into a game that is free, but very similar to the game they're now disenfranchised with. So, I don't know. I feel like this was a little bit premature. I feel like they could have stuck it out to the middle of next year to really see how things were going. I would think maybe summertime, if we're still not getting some traction after some of the players of Call of Duty fall off, I would say then we kind of strike and kind of, reconsider what we're doing here. But as it stands right now, I don't really understand this play. I think it is a little bit too soon. And, obviously it's a money thing, but on the same notion, you're really shooting yourself in the foot here. I think there could have been some ground retaken in a month or two. And now no one cares. No one's going to care. You're not going to retake any ground because you're shutting down. So that's my take.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even if they said, okay, you can still download it and play it until June or whatever, but we've disabled the store inside of it so that they don't have to issue refunds and stuff. I could see that being a thing, because why wouldn't you want people to still play it? Because it's not going to, you already have the servers running until June, so whatever. Yeah, and maybe it picks back up and it goes crazy, and I don't know. That's like the guy whose girlfriend is like, we should take a break, and he's like hoping for months. Maybe we can. That's what I just did with X Defiant. Maybe it'll be fine.
Right. Exactly.
It's not. So you're telling me there's a chance. Dave, they said a little while back in October that there were no plans to shut this game down after Season 4. And it turns out that's correct. It's shutting down after Season 3. But you got to play a little bit of X Defiant. How do you feel about it?
And Brandon, I agree with everything you said. Like, I'm really surprised that this is not being delayed by a couple of months. But I mean, you said it might be a little bit too soon. X Defiant, if you think about it, Concord makes X Defiant look like Skyrim. It got a full 8 months before it shut down.
Seriously, yeah.
So yeah, I agree with you that I think there was an opportunity, like a very, very small, minute, remote opportunity that, once we got to January and all the Call of Duty hardcore people got pissed off with it, maybe jumped over, but it is not to be. This has been rumored for a while, and I try to get in this game, as you mentioned, Ben, and I just couldn't. Not the way that I could with Call of Duty. And my theory, well, this isn't really a theory, but I think this is a win for skill-based matchmaking, which I need personally. And I think X Defiant showed that, because I need to be able to jump in to a game after not playing for several months, and after getting my feet wet after a match or two, feeling like, okay, I'm competent. I never felt like that in X Defiant. That game was so sweaty so fast, and its big boon was it did not have skill-based matchmaking, which was a thing that the loud minority Call of Duty fans really, really, really wanted to have removed from Call of Duty. But what this just kind of goes to prove is that what drives Call of Duty and makes it so profitable and so popular year after year is the 90% of people who don't even know what skill-based matchmaking actually is. So I think this is a win for that. It unfortunately is not a win for Ubisoft, but they tried. And this really sucks, because this was a competent first-person shooter. It didn't just have the no skill-based matchmaking that Call of Duty fans said they wanted, but it was boots on the ground. It had thoughtful maps. It had cool characters with unique abilities, and everything was balanced pretty well. So it just got way too sweaty, way too fast. So yeah, but again, this is another reminder that these free to play games, even if they come with massive pedigree like Ubisoft, do not have long leashes at all. And like, it doesn't matter what it is, it doesn't matter how much development costs, if it could get the plug pulled very, very fast. So, and we're gonna have another couple news stories that reinforce that. But yeah, rip X Defiant, I suppose.
Yeah, unfortunately, this show is mostly discussion of games shutting down today. But let's go ahead and move on to another thing that maybe is part of the reason games are getting shut down. GameSpot has an article here that says gamers may spend more time watching games than playing them. Over the last decade, streamers have taken on greater prominence in the gaming landscape, and some have even attracted significant fan followings. Now, a new report suggests that players are spending more time watching gaming videos than they are actually playing the games themselves, and it may represent an opportunity for video game publishers to add more revenue from the hardcore fans. Media, I'm not going to read this entire thing, but there's a lot. Maybe I will. Media Research has released a 17-page report detailing the time that players of various age groups spend playing games and watching game-related videos. The consumer survey was conducted in the second quarter of 2024 and featured responses from players in the US, the United Kingdom, Australia, Canada, Germany, France, Sweden, South Korea, and Brazil. According to the report, the total average time that players devote to their hobby is approximately just under 16 hours a week. Only 7.4 hours are spent with the games, while the remaining 8.5 hours are devoted to watching the gaming content on Twitch, YouTube, and social media outlets. The report goes on to argue that video game companies should capitalize on this trend by creating their own platforms for players to watch game-related user content. This untapped potential for game publishers to bring video content inside their own ecosystem could theoretically attract advertisements and sponsorships that currently go to other outlets. More importantly, it could give publishers a direct line to in-game buyers among many of their most devoted customers. However, the drawback to follow these suggestions, YouTube, Twitch, and other outlets already have a sizable share of the gaming audience, attempting to convince fans to jump from a place where they can see whatever they want to a closed-off ecosystem dedicated to only a single publisher may not be as enticing as the report suggests. This kind of seems to me like, I don't really care to talk about the conclusion of this that much, but the conclusion that publishers should create their own ecosystems to watch things in seems like an AI-written response, because nobody actually thinks that's a good idea. Like, YouTube gaming shut down years ago. Now, don't get me wrong; they work fine with all their live streaming stuff. They're making plenty of money. But as people's exclusivity contracts are running out, they're going to multi-streaming, and Twitch still doesn't turn a profit, as far as we know. The last time that they talked about it, because they're still, I mean, even though they're owned by Amazon, they still have to pay for their hosting fees and their servers and everything. And you always all the time see advertisers coming and going and everything. So all that to say, the point here is gamers spending more time watching than playing. And that makes a lot of sense to me, but I want to see what you guys think. Dave, first.
Yeah, this is fitting. We're talking about this today because everybody's Twitch annual recap came out. And I don't know if you guys saw yours, but those numbers you rattled off about the split, I'm about 8-1. And the reason is because I have Twitch running like all day while I'm working, and so I think I had 1,176 hours watching on Twitch. Now, again, that isn't me glued to the screen. That's just it running in the background. 292 distinct days visited. So yeah, I agree with the notion that I would not want to see a number of different places to watch different streamers based on which publisher had which game, that kind of stuff. But at the same time, even recognizing that Twitch holds over 60% of the market share of the streaming market, I don't think they're as bulletproof as we might think. We constantly hear streamers talking about how little ad revenue and revenue sharing that they actually get through Twitch, and how the number of ads have increased, and it's really starting to be a detriment to the viewing experience. And you mentioned multi-streaming, Ben. So the days of Mixer are long behind us, and YouTube gaming, obviously. But I do think that unless Twitch starts to address certain areas, that there might be an opportunity for someone or something to swoop in, because this is a massive market. Like this engagement time is huge, and it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier to turn on Twitch than it is to turn on a console and play something for an hour. So I don't think Twitch is as bulletproof as we might think, and there may be an opportunity. But me, for one, I've seen lots of streamers leave Twitch, and I haven't followed them just because I don't want multiple platforms. And those streamers all came back, funny enough.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Even if they're multi-streaming, they usually come back.
Right.
Most of them have gone multi-streaming after their exclusivity contracts have gone. So
right.
Brandon, you watch a lot of Twitch as well.
Yeah.
We all three do, really.
Yeah. I think my most watched streamer, and I don't really do it all day at work like Dave does, but I usually am watching it unless I've fallen asleep. But I have 75 hours on my top streamer this year. So, yeah, I definitely do a lot of it. And this is kind of an interesting stat. I think the whole end of the article is kind of a brain dead take. But yeah, it's true. I think that watching streaming content and YouTube content, it's bigger than it's ever been. And I'm nervous for platforms like Twitch. I know they are the giant right now, and I know there's some other stuff out there, but I think there's a lot of room for improvement. We've seen things like Rumble, we've seen things like Kick, and a lot of them have been very divisive, and made some really strange choices ethically. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. YouTube even just recently brought in a function where you essentially have two streams. You have a vertical stream and you have a horizontal stream. So that's kind of interesting. I was watching someone yesterday talk about it. You can kind of choose which one you want to incorporate, as well as TikTok. A lot of people are doing that as well. And I guess YouTube just integrated something similar to TikTok where you can like gift flowers or like, gems or whatever. So, I mean, they're always trying to monetize, and that's what the goal is, obviously, to keep these things going. But I think it's kind of a volatile thing, as you're saying, Ben. I don't think it's going away anytime soon. Whether or not Twitch will stay around is another thing altogether. But we definitely have some options here, as these other platforms, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, people stream on Facebook and they make money. So not saying that's the majority of people, but there's a lot of options. So I don't think it's going away anytime soon. I think it's going to continue to get bigger.
Yeah. This is kind of crazy. You guys mentioned your numbers. I'll go ahead and mention mine as well. 2,617 hours watched. Distinct days visited 330.
Damn.
Now, like you guys said, I pretty much when I sit down at my computer, I have a button I hit that opens up Discord. It opens up my browser, and it opens up, and it specifically opens up a page, Twitch page, which I then just drag over. I have 3 screens, so I don't even know what I am in. So I pretty much always have a stream on unless I'm either streaming myself or unless we're doing the podcast, which I guess I'm streaming, but like I don't have one up right now. So yeah, I pretty much always have something up, and oftentimes I'll leave stuff up like for the Overwatch drops. It was like you had to watch like 16 or something hours of of a streamer to get the top drop the last time. So I literally just left it up overnight, 2 different nights. So like I'm not necessarily, I am just having it open all the time, but I'm also not actually in front of my computer all the time. Sometimes it's on a different tab that I'm even looking at. Of the top 5 categories, it says I'm in the top 10% of viewers for each of them, which is crazy. One of them I haven't watched since March, as I'm thinking of, which is probably Elden Ring.
Dude, you know, I just realized I still have my ex's Amazon Prime connected to my Twitch. I've been using her Prime sub every single month.
Nice. That's awesome.
Someone's got to use it, baby. Let's go.
That's right. That's right. 462 hours on my top streamer, and 158 on my 5th highest streamer. But here's the really interesting thing: 1,687 chats sent. And I am positive that 90% of those were either in my own channel or somebody that I stream, or somebody that I watch that's like under 10 viewers, like multiple people that I watch. Because I actually try to participate in those chats of like my friends or people who are small. The big chats, I don't even, there's no point. Like, what's the point? Yeah, so that's a lot for me. 2.62K hours, but I'm not glued to the screen all the time, but still. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is a lot.
What do you think? Do you think there's anything bigger here at play than just the fact that people have it on at work and, you know, they have it on another screen? A lot of people watch a stream while they're gaming too. But do you think there's anything larger at play? Like, why? Why besides, is there any other reasons that people may watch more than they play?
I still get the feeling I'm interacting with a game even though I'm just watching someone else play it. So it's almost like it's almost like I'm getting, I don't know. It's kind of like a contact high rather than smoking the joint. It's the best way I can put it.
Sure. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, as I said, like sometimes I have 30 minutes to play a video game and I turn on my PS5 and it's got an update and then the game I want to play has an update and it's like I can still get that experience in part by watching something on YouTube or, you know, throwing on Twitch in the background. So that's what it is for me. I don't know what it is for other people. It could just be like there are a lot of barriers to playing video games, and cost is a big one, and Twitch just kind of eliminates a lot of that, and then you also get the social piece too, and that's something that you don't necessarily get from games. And then you throw in all these subscription fees with, like, if you want to play a game with your buds, you probably need a PSN profile or something, and it's or a PSN subscription. So I don't know, there's a lot of things to get in the way of people gaming, and Twitch kind of removes a lot of those without actually having to play a game.
It is incredible how many times I see in other people's chats when I'm watching something, people come in and ask like, "Oh, I've never checked this game out. Tell me about it." And these aren't variety streamers. These are like people who stream the same game all the time, a lot of times. So that's really interesting that people are definitely watching a lot of gaming that they're not actually participating in that game.
Right.
It's also really interesting, real quick, Brandon. Dave posted his top 5 in the channel, and of the top 5, I only know of one of them.
Goth?
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think I've heard of Leopard.
2, 3, and 4 are they're Souls-like streamers only.
Yeah.
Mostly, but yeah, I'm not surprised to see that.
Brandon, what were you gonna say?
No, honestly, I don't even fucking know what I was gonna say at this point.
Brandon, somebody in chat noticed earlier that you did not share who your top streamer is.
Asmongold.
No, it's actually someone called Saint Riot. He's an Elden Ring streamer. Yeah, he's really funny. Right. And I think my second one might have been Jinxie, maybe. I don't know. I was trying to figure out how to fucking get my rap thing up. I did it on my phone earlier, but trying to figure out how to do it in my browser.
You know, Jinxie may have been big, but he never really got that big, but until he streamed with the Rizzler. So
that's what I'm saying, bro.
Just putting it out there. All right, let's talk about something else shutting down, because why not? Suicide Squad Season 4 going offline. I'm not going to read anything here. Basically, I'll say they're going to shut down the game as far as like the online modes. They're going to enable online mode starting on December 10th because Season 4, Episode 7 is releasing. So that's tomorrow. Oh, no, that's today as we speak. They're bringing in Deathstroke, probably because they already had everything done for him. And that will be the final season of the game, which will be Episode 8 of Season 4. And that will release in January. I assume it will run through that season, and then online features will continue to be available as through the end of that season. This game had so much potential, and it just sucks for me.
Yeah,
I did not have a lot of fun with it. The only fun I had with it was playing with my friends, which I know it's designed to be a co-op game, of course. So, of course, that makes sense that you'd have fun with your friends. But I want to hear what you guys think about this shutting down, the potential we had with this game, that kind of stuff. And then also, since this is the game designed to be played with 4 players, what's the future of offline mode? How's that work? Guys, Brandon, you could start.
Yeah, I mean, the writing was kind of on the wall here. I really thought with the amount of money that they paid for IP, they were going to keep it alive a little bit longer. But I've talked poorly of WB before, and I'll continue to do so. It's sad. It's sad to see because this game, albeit not the best game, not the most fun game, did have life in it. I mean, the art direction was solid. The moment-to-moment gameplay was interesting, but it was just a boring game. It was just boring, just straight up boring. When you weren't actively shooting something, it was boring because you were standing there waiting for somebody to talk to you and then go to the next thing and then waiting for them to talk to you. So, yeah, I feel bad for people because I know these are like beloved characters that people finally are being able to see in games. And even when you're looking at the screen half the time, it looks pretty interesting and fun. But the reality is that it's just kind of shallow. And that kind of shined through in every single facet of this game. It's sad to see such a talented development team get stuck with such a bad and shitty idea because presumably this will impact them greatly. Especially after a shutdown. I would think maybe there was some thought of redemption. Maybe there was some thought of continuing to push the needle. But now that it's shutting down, it's just kind of like a sad thing altogether. It was sad to begin with, and now it's just in the grave. So, yeah, I don't know. This sucks. I'm not surprised, but it sucks.
Mm-hmm. Davey.
So maybe I read the article wrong, but from what I understand, December 10th, they're offering on offline mode, but all online functionality is going to remain until further notice. So the end of Season 4 is the end of seasonal updates, but the game is not going anywhere.
I thought it was. I thought I saw that somewhere else, but
yeah,
you're probably right.
No, they're offering the new feature is an offline mode as an option, if you like. Okay. But I agree with you guys that it's you guys are attending the funeral, but they haven't dug the grave yet.
Mm-hmm. But I'm throwing flowers, man.
My question is do these servers see the light of 2026? And I don't really think they do, because one of the things we've learned obviously is just the cost of maintaining the servers of these games is not insignificant. And if you're starting to offer an offline mode, then it kind of starts to show the direction you're going. So it's unfortunate, but we keep saying this is not what we want. Thanks, Ben.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Updating on the fly. But
I had that like that the whole time. I don't know what you're talking about.
And what we all wanted was we wanted an Arkham-style co-op game without shoehorned games as a service elements, which is what we ended up getting. And it was boring. It was flat. It put the focus on the wrong areas. And I really, really hope that we can get a return to form with Rocksteady and WB, because this is not what we want. It really isn't. And there was an attempt with Gotham Knights, and it was just clear from the start that game was supposed to look a lot more like Suicide Squad was, and then they just pulled everything at the last minute, and we were left with like this half-hearted fucking Gotham Knights co-op. Like that's what we wanted, but like done well from the start. So I'm sad for the developers and the people that worked on this game, but I'm also not sad because this is not what anyone asked for. So fuck you.
Yeah. Man, I forgot about Gotham Knights. I probably played that game for like 20 hours solo when it was on Game Pass last year. And if I remember correctly, I had a good time with it. It wasn't enough to keep me going through the end. It was like one of those games that was, oh, I just finished this and I'm looking forward to this, and played it in between, and it was free for me. So, or part of my subscription. So, yeah, that was really cool.
Have you ever seen any screenshots comparing Gotham Knights to Arkham Knight, which came out like 8 years prior? It's something ridiculous, but when you look at the two side by side, it is mind blowing how much they dumbed that game down. Like, I don't know. Look what they did to our boy. When you look at Gotham City, like it's great.
Yeah. It was a shame. It wasn't a great game by any means, but it was good enough, to get me through a few hours of it for sure. But I'm really, really sad about this. I was excited for Suicide Squad until it actually released, or I guess until some previews of it, because it just wasn't. I don't know how to say this. It's not that I think Kill the Justice League is bad. It's not bad. It was just boring. And I think if I had gotten the chance to play more of it, let me start that over. The whole time I was playing it, the first couple hours of it, I'm like, oh man, this is going to be a lot of fun once the game opens up. And this is kind of what Brandon was saying. I was like, once this game opens up and it stops stopping me every 2 seconds for a mission and everything, and I can just go and do whatever I want with 3 friends, this is going to be great. And we played for, I don't know, total probably like 10 hours, something like that. And it just never does. Everything you go to, the next thing is always like, here's 90 seconds of explanation. And then you do the mission and it takes you 60 seconds. And then you have to fly or get to something else the whole way across the map. And then another 90-second explanation. And it just, unfortunately, wasn't. It was almost like it was not live service enough. Like it was too guided, trying to be a live service game while not thriving as a live service game. Because I think this game could have been a good, open world live service thing. So, but yeah, we'll see what happens. I think that many people who want to continue playing this will choose to do the offline mode and not play with the randoms, which unfortunately means most randoms or, most people who want to play with a crew are going to end up not finding one. But hey, the game, it's been out almost a year now. You can't expect these games to live forever if they're not phenomenal. So unfortunately, that's the case. I hope they learn from it. I hope they make another great Batman, in the Batman genre game, the Batman universe game, because I love the characters and I thought that some of the character work was decent, and it looked cool. It looked good. It did. Ed mentions, I swear if I didn't already own a PSVR 2, I probably would have gotten that Batman game on the Quest. Batman, what's it called? Batman Quest 3.
Arkham Shadow?
Arkham Shadow, that's it.
Right.
I've played that game for probably like 2 hours, which in fairness, it's a VR game. I think that's probably like a quarter of it, but it is solid. It is really solid. I want to get back to it. That's the Batman game we needed. Even if it was VR, which it sucks that it's VR, but it's very well implemented. And it's very much like the old Arkham games that we were, that we wanted more of. So I hope they keep moving in that direction with the brand. I know that wasn't Rocksteady that did that, but what was the last time we had a No Man's Sky redemption story? Ed, there's a reason we always call it the what if they had a No Man's Sky moment. It's because No Man's Sky is the only one that's ever done it.
Cyberpunk.
But Cyberpunk was never as bad as No Man's Sky. Cyberpunk was broken.
It was a good game, but it was broken.
Yes. No Man's Sky was not a good game and broken. Cyberpunk was a good game that was broken.
Skull and Bones was redeemed.
When is that going to happen?
When they patched the platinum.
Oh, when they patched the platinum.
Yeah,
Okay.
All
right.
Was redeemed.
I'm kidding. We probably have had a No Man's Sky situation, but like in the modern era where games have been updated continually, I can't think of anything else. And you mentioned Fallout 76. I don't think Fallout 76 ever had that big of a resurgence either, and everything. So
only because of the show.
Yeah, it had a resurgence in players. I don't think it ever became a totally different game though, like No Man's Sky did.
Nope.
Yeah. Oh well. Let's move on to some. This is actually probably, in my opinion, the most sad news of the day. And this is that Deceive Inc. studio Sweet Bandits shuts down. In a post on the game's forum, co-founder and lead designer, excuse me, Bear Bandit said the studio had reached its breaking point and is unable to continue operating. There's no easy way to say this. The Sweet Bandits team is no more. After a long and difficult road of trying to get Deceive Inc. in a state where it could thrive, we've reached the breaking point for the studio, unable to continue this adventure with you. He thanked the game's community, and he added, the path ahead is currently being charted by our partners at Tripwire Interactive. We are considering options with the goal of maintaining the game that we all love. We will share news with everyone once we have more details. In the meantime, servers and games will continue. Access will continue as they have been. Now, a lot of you might be saying, Ben, never heard of Sweet Bandits. Well, Sweet Bandits are the people who made Deceive Inc. And then you're saying, Ben, we've never heard of Deceive Inc. And that's the saddest part to me, because Deceive Inc., although not a phenomenal, amazing, I can't believe this game exists kind of thing, Deceive Inc. was so much fun. And the ideas behind it were really, really solid. And it sucks that this did not get more of a player base, because I think had more people discovered it early on, this game could have turned into something really cool. And not to say that it wasn't cool when it came out, just that it could have gone much higher. And I'm part of that, because I played the game at launch and I never went back to it. But that wasn't because I didn't like it. I always like it. It's still installed on my computer. I got a new computer and reinstalled it because I liked the game so much, and I kept thinking, I'll go back to that someday. And of course, maybe we'll be able to, because they're talking about trying to preserve the game online. But I think the player base is really, really low. Let's see here what I'm just going to look on Steam charts, and it looks like 26 in game right now. Not great. 24-hour peak, 44. Looks like it hasn't been over 100 at all this month so far. And the last time it was above 100 was in November, and it was at 400 for like a day. They must have dropped a big thing. All-time peak was only 8,600. So, boys, did you get a chance at all to try this? I think, Brandon, you might have tried it with me. And if you did or didn't, doesn't matter. I want to hear what you think about like other small indie studios. I mean, they technically had a publisher, I guess, but other small studios like this that just, they make a good product, and it's so crowded out there, it doesn't see the light of day. Brandon, you can start off here.
Yeah. I mean, I played the game. I don't think I thought as highly of it as you did, Ben. I thought it was a good game, and it was fun to play with friends. But I think indie developers really need to be careful with developing multiplayer forward games, because you ultimately are set on a path that requires you to be engaged at all times. How many games have come out to little or no praise, to little or no advertisement, and then let's say 5 years down the line, the game does significantly better? That's the problem with something like this, is with a multiplayer game, it's so heavily dependent on people showing up, and people showing up quick, that not to say that people wouldn't struggle, indie developers wouldn't struggle if the boom wasn't at the beginning. That would certainly be bad. But if the indie developer could find some way to keep the product up in the hopes that someday those numbers will come back or those numbers will climb. With something like this, you're kind of dead in the water. When you got 20 people, 40 people, 100 people in the past couple months playing the game, that's a couple games, but that's not to say that all of these people aren't also vastly across the world from each other, and every match you play is a ping nightmare. So, yeah, there's so many factors that go into a multiplayer game. I think that indie developers really need to be careful and have that not be their only shtick, because it's such a risk, and you're just adding such another tremendous risk by making it multiplayer only. So yeah, it is sad to see, really, because it was a fun game overall. We played it a couple nights and I enjoyed myself. But it's just kind of the risk you take, and multiplayers are extra risky, especially in the crowded market.
Brandon, I'm trying to figure out, I think I agree with you mostly, but I'm trying to figure out what you're saying here, because if you're an indie developer and you're very passionate about multiplayer and you try to do something new and original, are you saying that people need to be careful or to not make multiplayer games that are not done by major publishers?
I'm just saying that multiplayers have unique risk that single player games don't. That's all I'm saying, is not to be innovative and not to try something new, but it's extra hard, in my opinion, especially with the landscape, and there's inherent extra risk with a multiplayer game just because you're so dependent on people showing up. And not like you're not dependent on people showing up for a single player game, but really in the single player game, it's like when they buy it, that's it. You know what I mean? That's what you want, right? And in a multiplayer game, you need people to buy it and continue to show up.
To keep supporting it, you mean?
Correct.
Yeah.
For it to thrive. So that's really what I'm saying. Not that people shouldn't innovate. In fact, I think more people should do it. It's just, you got to know the inherent risks, especially in this kind of landscape, especially with this type of game.
I will mention real quick before I throw it to Dave, this was a it still exists, cross-platform game. So even though they only had 44 on Steam, they had a few more probably elsewhere. But the fact that like you can barely fill a couple lobbies, a couple teams with this many players is the real point here. Like even if you have 500 people, that's still, maybe you can survive a little bit until you make your next game, but even that's really low. Dave, your thoughts on this? And did you ever play this, Eve?
No, and I'm one of those people that you mentioned off the top that hadn't heard about this game. So I did look into it a little bit before we came on the show to get a sense of what this game was. And is it fair to say this was sort of in the vein of Among Us, Ben?
Yeah, in the vein of, definitely not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The spirit of, maybe.
Yeah.
This is where I think games like this potentially go wrong, is we have these overnight successes where I'm thinking about things like Among Us, Vampire Survivors, Lethal Company, where it's these small games that focus a small budget on a really not singular, but a single mechanic, and they do it really, really well, and it catches on and it goes viral and everybody wants to play. And I think there's kind of this assumption that like this is a hit new subgenre and like everybody wants to play these games and there's such an appetite. And it's like it appears as though with Deceive Inc. maybe they created something that was like a bigger budget Among Us, but like really the market for this kind of game isn't that big. It's the same thing with the Vampire Survivors clones or contemporaries, whatever you want to call them, where it's like you only need so many, but like one was original and one was good, and then the rest are just clones. And I'm not saying Deceive Inc. kind of falls into that, but there seems to be sometimes with some indie developers, or maybe even not indie developers, but AA developers, where there's this overcompensating or overestimation about how big a subgenre really is. And the only time I can think where that worked in the favor of developers is like Souls-like. That was a subgenre, and turns out we need a lot of those. But I can't think of many other examples where that wasn't the case. And I don't know. Did we need more than one Among Us? And maybe we could use, there's room for 2 Vampire Survivors type games, and one is Deep Rock Galactic Survivor, but we don't need any else. So I don't know. That seems like it might be the situation here.
Yeah. I know you weren't saying this. I think the idea that nobody knows who you are is probably the only similarities it has with Among Us. Like, it's definitely not, I don't even know if I would call it inspired by. As a matter of fact, there's a story that came out a while ago that I think, it's funny you mentioned Souls too, because they were mostly inspired. They got the idea from Dark Souls 3, where you could disguise yourself as an NPC. But anyway, your point is valid that people need to stop just thinking that since something blew up after they worked 3 to 5 years on it, their game will blow up too. I don't think that's what happened here, but I think that that's a true point. But this game, yeah, I think being a small team means you have to put out a limited amount of stuff to begin with. And I think if people don't immediately click with that, or if they get tired of it quickly, that you suffer a huge risk, like Brandon was saying. But I thought Deceive Inc. was a lot of fun. I obviously didn't think it was fun enough for me to keep hopping back in over and over and over, but I thought it was really solid. And it's just sad to me to see someone who puts out a game that's like, if somebody puts out a game and it's total trash, I might feel bad for those people. I don't necessarily feel bad that their business failed. Businesses fail all the time, right? And I'm not saying we should like champion that, but we certainly feel bad for them. I think this was actually a good game that had some really cool new ideas, and to me it just sucks that a studio is closing because of it. And when you put that on your resume, maybe you have some work, but if you're trying to apply to something else that's a live service, it's a lot harder to get a job when a game you worked on failed, even if it was a good game. So that sucks. But let's talk about something that's not a bad game, something that is a very popular game and is not shutting down anytime soon. This comes from kitguru.net, and it says Phasmophobia sells 1 million copies on console, pushing the game to 22 million. Making the announcement via a press release, the team at Kinetic Games revealed this impressive milestone, saying today marks 35 days since the Steam smash hit Phasmophobia entered early access on consoles. Developer and publisher Kinetic Games, lauded for their community engagement and understanding, announces that the console versions have now sold 1 million copies. In total, since its early access release, the game has managed to sell over 22 million copies, putting it just shy of the top 50 best-selling titles of all time. For the uninitiated, Phasmophobia was initially intended to come to consoles all the way back in 2023, though it was unfortunately delayed due to an office fire. Following this, the game encountered further issues with being ported to consoles, and so to see it finally releasing to such strong sales is undoubtedly encouraging. Brandon, I know you've had a little bit of experience here with Phasmophobia.
Yeah.
This is a nice success story.
Yeah. Yeah, no, especially off the backs of the couple stories we've been sharing today. I'm glad to see that they were able to put something on console and have it be just as critically acclaimed, received just as well, I guess is what I'm trying to say, on console. This is a game that's been on PC for a bit now. And honestly, this game kind of is an enigma to me. I feel like I'd have to watch a bunch of research videos on how to play this game properly, and I have played it a couple times and had a good time. But yeah, this game's got a lot to offer, and it's kind of cool to see something kind of different from what you typically see do so well. 22 million is a massive number by any standard, and games, AAA games, would be happy to see numbers like this. So,
yeah. Dave, have you played Phasmo?
I have not. No. It's a lot of copies for an early access game, though.
Yeah,
it's like a ghost game, kind of.
Is a Phasma a ghost?
Are you a ghost?
Sometimes.
We should play, Dave. I think your PC could run it.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's pretty basic.
I haven't played it in probably a couple of years at this point, but it was a lot of fun when I played it. And this is one of those stories of like a small indie game that had a lot of bugs entering early access and being what was it, $10 or $15 when it released, I think. So yeah, that's the right formula. If you're not sure if these games are going to take off, put it up for like $7 or $10. Encourage everybody to play it. It's a 4-player game, 5-player game, so get all your buddies to buy it too. Money. That's obviously not true. A lot of people fail doing that.
That's the algorithm. Then.
That's the algorithm, though. That's the basic algorithm. I had written down here TGA conversation ? We kind of talked about the Game Awards a little bit earlier, but I didn't know if either of you had anything else that you wanted to talk about with the Game Awards, any predictions, or do we just want to move on to what we've been playing?
I don't care about the awards. I want to see Borderlands 4, which is confirmed.
Okay.
I also want to see Gears of War, which probably won't happen. I want to see Darksiders, which might happen. And I want to see Splinter Cell, which probably won't happen. So that's what I want to see.
Nice. Brandon, do you have any hopes, wishes, or dreams for the Game Awards?
I have no expectations. I think it's going to be too long, and I'm going to be bored by the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I hate to be like doom and gloom about it, but yeah, I'm just like last year I was like, when will this fucking end? Like, and I love this sort of thing, and that's kind of the sad part is that it just gets so bloated and shitty, and the stuff I actually care about they spend such a little amount of time on. So I'm kind of expecting it to be that way this year, and I'm excited to do a recap afterwards. But yeah, we'll see. I'm along for the ride. I don't want to have any predictions. I just want to come in and be surprised and just pleased. But I'm kind of thinking I'm going to be like rolling my eyes about half the time. So.
Brandon, I think did we watched the show together last year?
Yeah.
And we definitely had a few surprises in there that were fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the only prediction I had was that the finals was going to shadow drop, and it did.
And it
so to not tarnish my perfect record, I'm not going to make any predictions either. I guess I kind of made a small prediction with the Hunt thing earlier, but it wasn't really. It's not really a prediction about a game announcement.
It's going to happen either way.
Well, I don't know if Post Malone will be at the Game Awards. That's the thing I was kind of predicting.
Okay.
Yeah. And I love the Game Awards, and I think it has its problems, and I think it's a lot of fun at the same time. I don't understand the people who get super hyped up and then they trash Jeff and everything else like that. Like Jeff has his problems too, whatever. But like he's the only one doing it well, right? Like he's the one who's made it. He's been working his whole life on this kind of thing. I don't know. I have a lot of respect for him. I have a lot of respect for the show. Yeah, the ads can get annoying. The show can get too long, but like I also get it. I know what that stuff costs. I mean, I know what I think it costs, and it's probably more than that to put that show on. So good for them.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Even when the shows are boring, I'm still like, hey, you know what? Somebody did it. I didn't do it. I didn't go out there and create a whole thing, right? So I'm happy. I'm happy with whatever we get usually. Let's talk about what we've been playing. Who wants to go first?
I think we all played Rivals, right? So we're going to park that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. I'll go first. Rivals is cool. I wanted to get a chance to play it before it came out. I didn't get a chance to. I know Ben had talked very highly of it. I'm coming off the back of playing a bit of Overwatch, and so that kind of got me interested in the genre again. And I gotta say, this game pretty good. Enjoying it quite a bit so far. I think there's some stuff they need to balance about it, but mostly it's in a really good state at launch, like a surprisingly good state at launch. I will repeat that: a surprisingly good state at launch. It looks good, it plays good, it performs well, and it's fun. So I guess that's really all you can ask for, and it's kind of an outlier nowadays as far as multiplayer games go. I will say the biggest and best thing about the game that I've found so far that's actually surprising to me how well it works is the matchmaking. The matchmaking is fucking insane in this game. I know they just said they had like something like 10 million players or something like that log on in 72 hours or something like that. So obviously there's people playing it. There's a lot of people playing it. I get that. But there's a lot of people playing Call of Duty at launch, and my matches are not instant. You know what I mean? Like when I click Team Deathmatch launch day for Black Ops 6, it didn't put me in a game like that second. I swear to Christ, every time I click new match or one more round on Marvel Rivals, I barely even see it count 1 or 2 seconds if it does at all. Usually it just says game found and it's instantly loading me into the fucking match.
Even to the point that when it does that, sometimes I didn't mean to click one more round. I meant to click like back out, and I'm like, shit.
I guess we're playing one more round.
I guess I'm playing another one.
Right. So yeah, it's the matches are usually pretty quick. I feel like some Overwatch matches just drug on and on and on and on and on. So you get into matches quick. The characters feel good. They feel snappy. I do feel like I said, even though the balancing is pretty good out the gate, I feel like there's some tweaks they're going to have to make here pretty soon, I would hope. We're already getting some rumors of some new characters dropping. Ultron, I think, got leaked, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, looks great, plays great. Having a good bit of fun. Would love to play more with the boys. Yeah, that's about it. And that's actually all I've been playing. So I'll kind of step aside for now and see what you guys think of Rivals.
Dave, what about you?
Yeah, I have not played a hero game like this. I've never played Overwatch, so this is kind of my first foray into this. And I think the thing that I'm really enjoying about this kind of game is its pickup and playability. And a lot of that is because of what Brandon said. The matches are short, the matchmaking is like lightning fast. And you don't really need to know a whole lot to find a character you like and just kind of learn their 3 or 4 attacks and what they do. So yeah, it's a fun game. It's free to play, so you can't go wrong from a price perspective. And I've only been playing as Moon Knight and Luna Snow. Is that her name? Luna?
Yep.
Yeah. Who I'm one of the people who've never heard of Luna Snow before I played this game.
She didn't exist until like 4 years ago. So.
She didn't. Okay, good. I don't feel so bad. But I've been playing Luna Snow out of necessity, just because it seems like when I'm in a match where everybody is DPS and we have 1 or 2 tanks, that we just get destroyed. So I'm like, somebody needs to heal. And then even when I'm the lone healer, there is still way too much going on for me to be able to keep up. And part of that is skill, but I think the sweet spot is like 2 healers and the rest just focus on damage and a couple tanks. And I know there's been some calls for, I think they call it like class queuing, where
Roll queue, yeah.
Roll queue, yeah. I don't know if that's something that exists in Overwatch, but
It is.
It does,
in a game like this, you want people to have freedom to play how they want, but at the same time, it comes to a detriment of the game. So I'm wondering how they're going to handle that going forward, because I notice a big difference. And again, the only reason I started playing as Luna is because I'm like, somebody needs to heal, and I actually really enjoyed her. So yeah, early on, I'm enjoying this game. The presentation is great. Like, just kind of watching some of the pre-match cutscenes where, you know, you're swooping into the levels and stuff, and it just looks really great. I love the banter between characters when you're waiting for the match to start, and how it's contextual. Like, I heard Venom make a comment about how he was going to start eating vegetables because he saw Groot and he looked tasty. So it's just little stuff like that is really funny. And yeah, it's I'm having a lot of fun with it. The only reason I'm playing is because you two guys bigged it up so much. Otherwise, I wouldn't have bothered. But it's good, and I'm looking forward to trying it out with you two. So yeah.
Nice. I have an unreasonable amount of time in this game already. I think I'm over 25 hours, and it came out Friday. So that's a lot. I've been really enjoying it. I love Marvel, so that's a thing already. Like, I'm going to put out my bias, but I don't think that's contributed a ton to how much I'm enjoying the game, because I've also been playing Overwatch and stuff for the last couple months with some buddies, and really enjoying it. I think, as Brandon mentioned, most of the characters are tuned pretty well. I think we're going to get a lot of tweaks at the first big patch. Maybe after the first season is over, we'll see a lot of that kind of stuff. I think about characters like Iron Fist getting patched, because he can literally chase Iron Man while in the air the whole way across the map. He can block all ults and nukes and everything else just by parrying. He's a menace, and he's almost impossible to kill because he can dash out as quickly as he dashes in. I think that's one. I think maybe there will be a counter to him that's foolproof soon, but it's annoying. He's annoying, very much so. Everybody else I found to be relatively balanced. I think some other character like Scarlet Witch's ult might get nerfed a little bit, but I don't know by how much. Maybe her range on it, potentially. Anyway, so I've been playing a lot. I've been playing, and as new people pop in, I've been playing with them, but I'm getting really frustrated because you have to be level 10 to play competitive, which I appreciate the fact that you have to do that. But what I'm finding is that most people playing competitive are not wanting to play as a team, or they'll come in and they'll be like, all I know how to play is DPS or tank or heal or whatever. And my response is always the same. Then you shouldn't be playing competitive. If you only know how to play one class, then just play quick match and learn another class if you want to. Don't if you don't. That's fine. But like, you need to be able to play as a team and distribute the team well. And because most people are coming in just to play competitive. I know it's early days, whatever. I've just been unable to find a good groove with a team. Sometimes I get a team and we just roll over the other team. Sometimes, but most of the time it's a struggle and nobody's really playing all that well. I'm always the first one. If there's too many DPS, I'll switch to something else. No problem. But I'm getting a little bit frustrated with just people playing competitive in these random lobbies that can't. And I know Brandon's the only other person I know playing that's high enough to play competitive with me. And at the moment, we just haven't been able to connect enough to play much together. And even then, that's only 2 out of 6 people. I do think eventually, Dave, as you mentioned, there'll be a role queue. I think I wonder what their decision was to not put it in at launch, but maybe that's growing pains. Maybe that was a conscious decision. I don't know. So far, I've at least played 1 match with every healer or with every character. There are 33. I have my favorites in every class, but then there's some strategy that comes in. Like if your only tank is going to be Captain America, then you can't really heal him that well unless they play very well, and you need somebody to protect everybody else. I'm not a big fan of the tanks in general. I just think it's such a pair, like DPS and healers, they're pretty similar to how you would find in any other hero shooter, but the tanks are very different. They're less bullet sponges for the rest of the team and more tricks and DPS than they are traditional tanks. And I think that's okay. I just need to get used to it and figure it out. Derek says we need a character tier list video. There are already like 1 million of those out there. And I don't have the time to do that right now. Actually, I probably do have the time. I just don't want to. That's the reality of it. I don't want to do that. My favorites are not necessarily like my favorite characters are not necessarily the characters I'm best with. Like I really, really love Psylocke. I love her kit, but I'm not good with her, so I don't play her. I really don't like Namor as a character in the comics or anything, but I love playing as him. Like he's the first one I got like a proficiency rating with and got, most of his achievements unlocked and everything else. But I play him if I'm able to based on the team comp, and otherwise I'm not. So I'm getting a little frustrated with competitive because I don't have anybody, like I don't have a full team to play with and go in there. But maybe eventually it'll be different and we'll have a role queue locked, because I guess the problem is just that like nobody has microphone. Almost nobody has a microphone. Nobody's willing to switch off to any other character. Nobody's willing to work as a team. The thing that makes Marvel Rivals a little bit different than other hero shooters, specifically Overwatch, is that like in Overwatch, we've played that game for 8 years now. Yeah, there's been lots of changes and everything, but like basically we know that if you are rocking X character, Y character is going to be really good to play with them. We know that if the other team has an A character, I need to have B character to combat them, to be able to take them out. I need to have a soldier to take out the Pharah in the sky or whatever. We don't really know all of that quite yet with Marvel Rivals, but what we do know is that if I'm playing again Namor, then the game actually tells you if you have Luna Snow as your healer and you're playing Namor, you get special abilities that Luna Snow doesn't have to do anything, but Namor gets buffed with these special abilities. And people are just unwilling to play as the characters that give other characters buffs. Like if you have 2 people on the team that need the third person to make them both way better, most people aren't willing to do that, even if it's in their same category. So it's just frustrating is all. And it's learning curves and it's brand new. So it's only been out like 5 days. It's fine. It'll get better. There'll be a lot of changes, I think. But just the stupidity of new players playing a brand new game, even in an established genre, is hard. And I include myself in that to an extent. Like there's plenty of stuff I don't know either, but I'm having a great time. I'm really liking it, and I'm gonna try to keep grinding out in that competitive mode. There is one interesting thing about the competitive mode. You don't do like placement matches and then get placed somewhere and then have to stay up or down in that. You have to win. You basically just have to keep winning more than you lose. You get points for every win. You You get points taken away for every loss, and you start at bronze 3 and you work your way up. You don't like get placed in gold and then have to keep gold. The other thing is that if you're in one of the top tiers of competitive, if you make it to the top, you can't just not play and keep your competitive status. If you're at the in the very top 2 tiers, I think it is, you have to keep playing, or every day you don't play, you lose points, which I think is a little bit predatory in an extent, but also because it's just encouraging you keep coming back, keep playing, keep our player base, or else you lose your rank. But at the same time, if you've played enough games, because of the system I mentioned earlier, if you've played enough games to get to that point, you probably are going to keep playing. So like, it's a little bit of a trade-off there, I think.
Overwatch is like that too. I think if you're in Grandmaster, you get like degradation.
Right. But I think this one, people are saying it's more severe so far. So otherwise, people are getting a little bit irritated with the monetization, and I'm like, it's a free game. Either pay or don't. Like, I just monetization models for games that are free to play, I will never complain about, because the monetization is what it is. If you want to monetize your game in the shittiest way possible, but your game's free, then you're either going to encourage a lot of people to spend money on your shitty practices, or you're going to go out of business. And either way, you brought that upon yourself. If the game cost $20 and then they had monetization policies in place, that'd be different. But so far, I think it's fine.
But also, this game, there's literally nothing you can't do.
Correct.
Like, there's literally, I don't know why anybody has any room to complain with this specifically. There is nothing you can't do in the game that's free.
Right. Yeah. It's just skins.
It's just
skins.
And you already have those characters. Like, you could just play as that character if you want. You just don't get the skin.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing I kind of fell off with Apex. Like, I played Apex originally on PlayStation, and I bought multiple characters with like real money. And then when I wanted to play on PC, there was no cross progression, no cross whatever. And I was like, wow, I don't have my favorite character here anymore, and I already bought them somewhere else. And this game is fully crossplay, fully cross progression. If you get certain skins unlocked on like PlayStation, I don't think they transfer, but that's PlayStation's policy. That's not the game's policy. So.
I don't think it's cross progression. It's cross play. I do not.
It is cross play. Yeah. Did I say cross progression?
Yeah. It's
okay.
It's not cross progression.
No, it's not. It is cross play though, which is fine with me. If it's not cross progression, that's fine. But
I wish it was.
But my point there was not that, oh, I don't have that skin. It was more that actual characters. Like in Apex, if I bought a character,
right?
This, you just get all the characters. The only thing you buy is skins.
For now.
For now. I think that'll be the case. I think that they've established that as their model, that they're only going to do skins as paid things. So, and Battle Pass, obviously.
Yeah, I hope so.
So I'm liking it. Is the long and short of this whole
thing.
Brandon, that's all for you. All that you've been playing. Dave, you also have been playing. You finished Ghostwire.
Yep. Just want to quickly say I finished Ghostwire, and as much talk as there was about this game having gruesome platinum, the Golden Path is surprisingly short. Well, not short, but it's 10, 12 hours, which I think is great. So I just wanted to mention this because I wanted to shout out your 7. What I mean by that is there's lots of games that get released and they get 7s across the board and everybody forgets about them. But 7s need love too, and 7s are really good games, and most of them are on sale a lot. So if you skipped a game because it was a 7, go back and play it now, because it's sevens are good games. Really good games. Yeah.
Ghostwire's goated, man.
Yeah.
I think a 7 might have been a little harsh on that game, even though I think a 7's a decent score. I think probably closer to 8 is probably where I would have put it.
Yeah. These days, even 8s kind of get lost, though. Too.
I agree. Yeah. Because people think the scale only goes from 6 to 10 instead of 1 to 10.
If you're not in the game of the year conversation, then you're not worth my time.
Then you're trash. Yeah, exactly. For me, I've still been playing Mass Effect 1 as per my New Year's resolution from last year, or more like my bet slash dare to continue playing it. I think I'm a little over. I looked up a guide today because I didn't know how to do something or where to go next. And it looks like I am over halfway through. And so I'll definitely finish it. I have actually been making myself play a minimum of an hour of it a day in order to play something else to get done with it. And I hate that that's the way I'm playing this game because I know this is one of the all-time greats and I'm not having a good time with it. I don't think it's like I'm more positive on it than I was last week, but I'm finding myself like, oh man, I know I should go and do this side quest because I've actually heard people talk about the characters in this quest, but I just don't want to. And I think because of that, I will not make another resolution where I have to fit to play a game because even though I'm glad I'm forcing myself to play this game, I know it's not under the best possible circumstances, and I'm not experiencing it in the way that I should be. Because I'm forcing myself to play it rather than playing it because I want to.
Would you like to request a judicial pardon so you
Yeah.
get the most out of the Mass Effect experience at a time when it's more convenient for you, Ben? We want you to experience this game the way it's supposed to be happened, not in an expeditious way. So, Brandon?
Well, I finished 2 of my 3, and I think that's probably all I'm going to finish by the end of the year. So
Okay, so we're going to just hand them out now, are we?
yeah.
No, I'm not asking for one. You can't grant a pardon if I'm not asking for it.
Yeah, well, we're just putting it out there.
Okay.
Because it sounds like you're not playing this game the way it's meant to be played, and that hurts me.
Well, here's the thing. There's 2 things, actually. One, I don't think after my experience thus far that I will ever play this game if I am not forcing myself to do so. And the second thing is, just because I'm not wanting to go and do side quests and stuff doesn't mean I'm not doing it. Like, I'm still going through I'm still trying to experience. I'm not maybe doing every single side quest and exploring all the different galaxies that you can explore that you don't have to go to, but I'm still going out of my way to do other things. And I'm enjoying the interactions. I'm understanding that, but I find that it's a slog. Like, I just did a mission, and I won't go into too much detail about what it was necessarily, but like, I literally had to go from this point to this point, and in between there are 2 giant hallways and 2 elevators that you have to take to get from here to here. And I had to go back, and this was today I played this. I had to go back and forth between these 2 points 4 different times.
Is this on the Citadel?
No, this is not on the Citadel.
Oh, okay.
It's on the planet starts with an N, I think. I'm really bad with names in general, and I thought there must be something to do along the way, but there wasn't. It was just, I started here. I had to go talk to this guy. Then this guy told me to go back over here and do this thing. So I went back over here and did this thing. Then that guy, the original guy, told me to go back over to the other thing. Novaria. Thank you, Sailor. Had to go back over. And I understand it's a product of its time. That's just how we even have games like that still. But it just drove me crazy that I was like, this is not efficient. And I spent running in those corridors and taking those elevators, which used to be loading points, but now they don't even need to be that. I'm like, that took me an extra 30 minutes that didn't have to be there. And so that kind of stuff is annoying me about it. And I know that that's a product of its time, and I know that that's the mindset I'm in right now as I'm playing it. But I'm still doing it. That was a side quest. I still did it because I wanted to experience that story. So I'm, again, like I said, I'm a little disappointed in the way I'm playing, in the fact that I'm not feeling it. But I think it's important that I play it still. And I don't know if I don't play it now, I don't think I'll ever go back to it, is the reality. So we'll see how I feel at the end. I don't think it's a bad game at all. I think it's a good game. I'm just not. I think I waited too long. I think I screwed myself and waited too long to play this game. And that sucks. I think I'm pretty positive this person listens to the show or watches, or maybe they're here right now. I don't know. I got a package a couple years ago. Somebody gave me their original God of War 2018 collector's set, which was awesome, but they forgot a part of it. They thought they didn't have it. They sent it to me this past week because they found it, and that was great. Ed, my plan for Mass Effect 2 is to not play it right now. I need to give myself some space and want to play it rather than play it because I have to. Anyway, when they sent that other thing for the God of War Collector's Edition, they also sent along this. Life is Strange for PS4. It is sealed. I mean, I think it's used, but it's a sealed copy. They obviously purchased it. I'm pretty certain for me. And Nicholas, I don't appreciate it. All right? I don't appreciate this shit being in my house. All right? I don't want this garbage. No, but actually, genuinely, thank you. This is a game that maybe most of my Life is Strange act is a bit, but I genuinely don't have any interest in it. But because I have it now, maybe I'll play it someday. Just to actually experience the thing that I've said I hated for so long.
So
that I've never
going to play Mass Effect 2, but you are going to play Life is Strange. What world are we in right now?
What I said was I wasn't going to play Mass Effect 2 right now.
Okay.
Those were my words. Man, I hear Mass Effect 2 is great. I've heard people who, when I've expressed my opinion about Mass Effect 1, people have been like, but you have to play Mass Effect 2. It's way better. And I believe that. And so I probably will genuinely give it a shot someday, but I think 90% of the reason I'm not having a good time is because there's other stuff I want to play, and I'm forcing myself to play this right now. I think that's part of it. And this isn't a matter of I just waited this long. I've played like at least once a month since the beginning of the year of this game, and I just haven't been able to get into it. And again, time and place, I get it. I understand it all. The other thing, I've played about 4 hours of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. I had expectations for this game that were unfounded. I had no reason to. I thought I knew what kind of game this was going to be, and it is just not that. And because of that, I am liking it even more. I'm playing this on Game Pass, by the way. I didn't purchase it, but Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is phenomenal. It starts out rather linear and then opens up to be really open world almost right away. Like the first hour maybe is very linear. And then after that, it goes crazy. I love Indiana Jones as a character. So again, kind of like the Marvel Rivals conversation, that may be influencing my opinion on the game a little bit. But so far, I'm having a great time. My biggest problem with the game is one of its strengths is that I feel the need to explore every nook and cranny and make sure I'm not missing something. And then that just takes so much time, but it also increases my enjoyment because when I do find something that's cool, it's really cool. There was a puzzle that I ran across and I was like, I spent like half an hour. Like, I don't know how to do this. And so I finally caved and looked it up. I was just like, and it was like, oh, you can't do this until you get to this point in the game. I'm like, oh, great. So like sometimes that kicks me in the butt that I explore everything because I find things I shouldn't see yet. But with that said, I think it's really, really solid and I'm loving it. And I love being indie. I love how great the game looks. I'm fortunate enough that I'm playing it on high settings on everything. And it's running, I'm usually getting like between 70 and 80 FPS, which is great because the game is a beast with like, it's on 1440p. So don't get, I'm not going 4K or anything, but the game is absolutely beautiful. A little tip for anybody out there that may be struggling with this. If you have DLSS on, just try turning it off. Put on the TI, whatever it's called, the other option, because I was having a lot of lighting effects that were really bad. This is on PC, obviously. I was having a lot of lighting effects that were really, really bad until I switched from DLSS, and now it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. It's beautiful. So I will have much more to say about that, I believe, next week. And every moment I'm playing something else, I'm wanting to be playing Indiana Jones, actually, which is a good feeling to have, too. So I think that's it for me. I've played a lot of video games this last week. A lot of video games. And more than normal. I play a lot of video games normally because I choose to do that instead of sleeping. And this week I played even more than that. So it was a good time. Good time. That's all I got, boys. Do we have a name for the show? We got to come up with a name for the show. Ed says he's going to start it tonight, hoping he can pull 4K at 60 with DLSS. Good luck, Ed. 4K in that game, if you're going to turn on full ray tracing, is going to be very taxing. I know you have a beefy rig, but it's a demanding game for sure. Sponsored by DraftKings. I think, Radic, we could get in trouble on YouTube for having that in there, even if it's a joke. Well,
Suicide Watch.
I feel like suicide also will put us in the same category there.
Suicide Rivals. I don't know. We can't put suicide. All right.
Yeah. Ast Effect also will get us.
No, X. You should put X Defiant, but put an apostrophe between the N and the T. So it's like X Do you know what I'm going for here?
Defiant.
X Defy Don't or something like that. I don't know.
Nah.
Sweet Bandit Defiant Suicide.
We can't put Suicide Squad. We can't put suicide in the title.
Are you saying you're some side of Suicide Squad?
Unalived Rivals. No, we're not doing that either.
X Defy Not. I don't know. No, that doesn't work.
Orgasm Phobia.
It just says for fuck's sake.
We'll figure it out in post.
Just call it episode 307.
It's
Beautiful.
already called that.
Twice.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for checking
Enjoy
out the
Game
show.
Awards.
Enjoy the Game Awards. Try to just have some fun with it and not be expecting the world.
Hey, sorry, one other thing. The Game Awards has always been kind of a cool night in our Discord, so let's keep that going. If you're
Yeah,
around,
that's true.
You know,
Peep it.
yeah.
Dave, how can they find our Discord?
handsomephantom.com/Discord, Ben. It's the best
Great.
way to find us. You can also Google it.
Mm-hmm. No, you can't. I don't think you can.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good time.
Cool. All right. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. We'll catch you on the next one. Goodbye.
Bye.